we doing? What are we talking about?
All right, appearances, council.
Lisa Doe for the people.
I'm Jeff Harrison. I'm here on behalf of Miss Sutton. She's joined me at the table.
And we are here for what's scheduled as a preliminary examination, but it looks like we have a resolution. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
We do, Your Honor.
The people have offered that if the defendant were to plead guilty to retail fraud second degree, we would dismiss retail fraud first degree.
Harrison?
That comports with my understanding as well, Your Honor.
Ms. Sutton, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. I believe restitution is reserved because I don't think we have a full idea of what was recovered and what was damaged, if anything. So I'm going to reserve that.
It's fine if it's reserved.
All right, Ms. Sutton, have you heard what the attorneys have said the resolution of this case is?
Yes, sir.
And is that how you wish to resolve it?
Yes, sir.
Will you please raise your right hand as best as you're able? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. So it's my understanding that you'll be pleading guilty to an added count 2 of retail fraud second degree. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail and or a fine of $2,000 or 3 times the value of the property taken. In exchange for that, the people are going to dismiss the charge offense of retail fraud first degree. That is a 5-year felony and or a fine of $10,000. Now, additionally, because it doesn't appear that there's any type of an agreement for restitution, it's possible that a hearing may be held in the future in which you'd be required, maybe, be required to pay restitution. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Back on February 5th, were you on probation or parole?
No.
Were you on bond?
No, sir.
Do you remember your rights in this case that we went over to Raymond?
Yes, sir.
Most importantly, do you understand that you have a right to a jury trial and that by entering a guilty plea today, you'll be giving up that right and you won't have a trial of any kind?
Yes, sir.
Other than the plea agreement, has anybody promised you anything?
No, sir.
Has anybody threatened you in any way?
No, sir.
And is it your own free choice to plead?
Yes, sir.
Are counsel aware of any other promises, threats, or inducements not made part of the record?
No, Your Honor.
But Ms. Sutton, to the allegation that on or about February 5th, 2026 in Herring Township of Wexford County, how do you plead to added count 2 of retail fraud second degree? You sure about that?
Yes.
All right. In order to accept that plea, I must have you tell me what it is that makes you guilty. So it looks like, were you at Walmart on that day?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, did you either attempt or were successful in taking property that belonged to Walmart?
Yes, sir.
And for purposes of the plea, did that items taken have a value of up to $1,000? Do counsel believe that the defendant provided a factual basis? Well, was it your intent to take those items?
Yes, sir.
Does counsel believe defendants provided a factual basis to accept the plea and the court rules have been complied with?
Your Honor, just a question. So the items were over $1,000. I don't know if she knew the amount. She thought it was between 200 and
Yeah, I did think that.
She thought it was under 1,000, but in actuality it's over 1,000. I don't know if that suffices for factual basis or a reduced charge from a first to a second. This may be an unnecessary point, but I know in factuality it was over 1,000.
So refresh my memory, the value for retail fraud second degree, that's 200 to 1,000, right?
200 to 1,000 in actuality was about $1,100 that were stolen. And this is part of the I don't know if you need to do a factual basis for the higher and accept it for the lower charge, or if it needs to be for the lower charge.
Perhaps I can assist, Your Honor.
Well, I asked her if it had a value of, I believe that do you believe that it had a value of more than $200 but less than 1,000 for purposes of the plea?
Yeah.
All right. I understand it probably had a value of more than $1,000 the way it sounds.
She's still not convinced today, Your Honor. We don't have an exact breakdown yet. And that's one of the points Mrs. Dahl was making with regard to restitution, I believe. Is that true?
But
I just got, read through a note, it looks like restitution is not an issue, all of the items were recovered
Okay.
fully, so that's not an issue. I just know in actuality, it was over 1,000 and this is a used her, so I don't know if she needs to.
well, if she's agreeing that it at least had a value of 200, but up to 1,000, then I think we're okay.
That's fine. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm satisfied.
All right. I find the plea is knowing, voluntary, and accurate. Ms. Sutton, I find you guilty of retail fraud second degree. Pursuant to the plea agreement, the retail fraud first degree will be dismissed at the time of sentencing, which I assume we can do today.
I presume so, yes. That's it.
We could do sentencing today, Your Honor.
All right, any allocution then, Mr. Harrison?
Look, I'm very proud of Mandy being able to be forthright. I say that somewhat begrudgingly because that's how she's always been with me. She told me from day one exactly what happened and how it happened. And I think she was forthright with the officers on the scene. She did attempt to hide behind a snowbank or a tree in the parking lot, for the simple reason that if you'll take judicial notice of the fact that she's not very big. But that was more of a silly, she had no real serious intent to evade the officers once she realized that they were on to the game. She went to Walmart with several friends with the intent that they were going to take things from the store, not pay for them. Her initial confusion stems from the fact that she primarily, at the direction of a very young child, it was not hers, it was one of the other parties, took large stuffed animals and put them in the cart. So her initial thought was, well, her cart would only fit maybe 8 or 10 of these things. What's that, $200-300? We are now aware that other things were placed in her cart before it left the store, and she had not been able to calculate the value of those when she initially spoke to the officer. So that's part of the mistake that she initially had. I think this is clearly an example of a person who is easily influenced by other people, wanted to participate, wanted to be their friends, wanted to take advantage of some other financial or residential advantages they were seeking to provide her, which didn't pan out, by the way. And as soon as she realized that this wasn't going to go down the way they said it was, and they weren't going to get away scot-free, she immediately said, yeah, you got me. I don't know what I was thinking. And that's the part that's always difficult in these cases, Your Honors, because it strains credibility for me to come in here and say, well, she didn't know stealing was wrong. That's not what I'm saying, okay? So it's a little bit more subtle than that. I think there is a mentality amongst younger people especially that sort of justifies it's okay to steal from Walmart, it's a big company. And that coupled with the kind of herd mentality that she was participating in at the time, at least temporarily suspended her ability to freeze her moral compass and walk away from the situation. Frankly, at that point, it was probably easier for her psychologically to complete the mission than to walk away. It was a dumb thing to do. She's not a dumb person, generally speaking. She just had a very serious lapse in judgment on this occasion. She knows that she's not going to get away scot-free with this. She's happy that the merchandise was recovered and that Walmart did not suffer any monetary loss. This was a very odd day for a number of reasons, not the least of which is we believe the complainant is not employed by Walmart. She believes it was a private citizen that actually followed her around the store, took some pictures. Again, is that dispositive of the case? Does it really have anything to do with her right or wrong? No, it doesn't. It's just an odd circumstance upon another odd circumstance. She's been in jail a number of days on this already. It's been 21 days now. She tells me 21. I was gonna say 20, so 21's good enough for me.
I think her credit is 20 because of the way it gets counted, but
Okay, fair enough, right. I think that's sufficient because I presume you're gonna place her under a period of supervision because I think obviously she could benefit from the shoplifting class. She could benefit from some counseling because I'm concerned about broad topics like her coping skills and her self-esteem that isn't something we can fix with a court case, but I want her to get in touch with resources that can get her to that point, and probation would be a good jumping off point for that. Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Dole.
Your Honor, in some ways, I do agree with Mr. Harrison that a term of probation would be appropriate in this case. I think it would benefit her to be educated on the consequences of retail fraud with the retail fraud class. Additionally, I think some counseling would benefit her. The claim is that she was pressured so much that she intended to steal. I think whether she intended to steal in the amount of retail fraud first or retail fraud second, I think that's not relevant to this point because what she intended and what in actuality was the amount that she stole is her intent was the same. And it ended up being a felony based on her somewhat minimal criminal history. I believe she only has one conviction for domestic violence. Some things that were taken off her record. And considering there were other people involved, I believe that retail fraud second degree was appropriate to bring it down to a misdemeanor level. But I think some oversight would help correct her behavior and I believe the supervision should include potentially, drug testing. I believe that there's no need for any additional jail time. She has served 21 days. I would like if the court would order probation to have more days over her head to ensure that she complies with the probation department. I did check. There was a note that there is no restitution in this case. I think maybe some community service would also benefit her and the community to help to stay on the positive side of community instead of on the detrimental side of community interactions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Dole, what was taken?
There were a lot of children's toys. I believe there were some items of food, but I can get to it. I believe there was some also clothing. There was some backpacks, some merchandise, socks, food, men's apparel, women's apparel. A lot of toys. Things of that nature.
Are others being prosecuted in this, or is she the only one?
We weren't able to catch anybody. She was the only one that walked out with all of the merchandise. The others were not around her when she walked out.
All right. Ms. Sutton, you had the right to address the court prior to sentencing. Is there anything you'd like me to know?
And I'm sorry for everything that I did, and I know that it was wrong.
So why did you do it?
The little boy talked me into it, but I shouldn't have done that. Sorry.
Okay.
I shouldn't have did it at all.
One of the things that the court looks to when it decides whether or not somebody should be on probation is not only is there a rehabilitative aspect to that, but there's also, the court is supposed to be convinced that it's going to stop you from coming back.
I don't want to come back.
Well,
Sorry.
so in 22, you were convicted of domestic violence and had 13 days jail. Doesn't look like you did probation on that file?
No, I did probation on all of it.
You did?
Yes,
All right.
yes, sir.
Did you do probation on the disorderly drunk from 22?
Yes, sir.
And the 7411 that you had, did you complete that successfully?
No, because of my domestic violences.
Okay, so that you were violated on the 7411 because of the domestic from
Domestic
22.
Yes, sir.
So what assurance do I have? Because if you've been on probation in all three of your prior convictions, but you're back here again, so is probation not working?
No, it's because I didn't get my GED the last time. That's why I didn't get, that's why I failed my probation. I don't understand the GED.
Okay, but not getting your GED didn't lead you to stealing
Well,
upwards
no,
of,
that was for the last, that's why I failed my last probation, because I didn't get my GED. I had to spend 4 days in jail over it. My probation officer was trying to give me the 2 months.
so was that for the disorderly drunk or was that for the domestic?
Nope, that was for the disorderly drunk.
All right. Now, it has been, it looks like not quite 4 years since your last conviction. So what have you been doing in between time?
I've been working, I've been cleaning houses,
How,
trying to stay out of trouble,
how have you been staying out of trouble? What have you been doing?
being by myself, staying away from people. And I just got in contact with people and I see where it leads me to, so I will be staying away from people then.
I know you were given an appearance ticket and released from the scene, and then you didn't show up for arraignment. You had a bench warrant
That
out.
was just, that was because I got left in Hershey. I got off my phone and all my clothes well, they're over at Ashley's house. I finally know where they're at, but my ex and her stole my phone and brought all my stuff to her, or to me and at her mom's house.
What do you do for income? Are you still cleaning?
Yeah,
Is that a regular job or how does that work?
and well, I do it twice a week, but I'm gonna be going to go do tree service after this, actually.
Like trimming trees?
Yeah,
Do you have that lined up?
no, I'm gonna go talk to my friend when I get out of here, actually. I did a job with him a couple of months ago. So. I'm gonna try to see if they'll let me work with women. Because my doctor doesn't want me working with people. And that's in my paper, in the state, or in my paperwork. My mentality, or my mental health isn't meant for others, I guess, is what he said.
Anything else you want me to know?
I've been playing myself.
Well, it has been a period of time since the defendant's last conviction and last time she served probation, so the court will take a shot at probation. You're gonna do 18 months of supervision. During that time, you're not to violate any law, report as ordered, not leave the state without permission, and to keep your employment information and contact information current. You are eligible for early release, so if you've done everything we've asked you to do at the halfway mark, you can be released early from probation. During the period of time that you are in probation, you are not to consume any illegal controlled substances, including recreational marijuana, and you'll be subject to testing for both. I believe that's appropriate given the defendant's prior conviction for narcotic use or controlled substance use. I'm going to order any counseling that your probation officer feels is appropriate. I'm also ordering the retail fraud class. I'm going to order 30 hours of community service work. Because these are not just crimes against a store, they're also crimes against society because it causes increased prices and people can't walk out of the store without having to show their receipts and
Right.
the like. So I believe that that is appropriate. There is a $75 crime victims' rights fund fee, $50 state minimum fee. Going to do a $200 fine, $150 court costs, $150 attorney fee. 9 months of probation is $270. If you end up staying longer than the 9 months, you'll be required to repay or required to pay $30 a month for probation. There is no restitution requested. And because you have 20 days credit, you're entitled to a $100 credit towards your fine. I'll do 20 days jail with 20 days credit. Any balance that remains unpaid for more than 56 days will have a 20% penalty added to that, but I'm going to waive that penalty while you're on probation. Anything else in the judgment of sentence, Ms. Dole?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Harrison?
I don't see the need to include anything further there.
All right, ma'am, it's possible you'll be released in enough time today to get over here to probation. If you are, you need to do that. If not, you need to report first thing in the morning.
Okay,
Do you understand that?
yes, sir.
Failure to do that could result in a bench warrant for your arrest.
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, next hearing, I will take the board off of.